The room went silent the moment Colonel Richardson's palm hit the desk. Papers jumped. A pen rolled off the edge and clattered to the floor, and nobody moved to pick it up. Across from him stood a young lieutenant colonel, spine straight, jaw tight, refusing to blink. He had just closed her personnel file without reading past the first page. What he didn't know was that she had brought a second file, one he hadn't asked for, and one he would never forget. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Major Elena Cross, though by the time this morning began, her promotion paperwork was already sitting and signed in a drawer 3 feet from where Richardson now stood glaring at her. She had walked into that office already knowing what waited for her. The whispers had followed her down the hallway all week, that the colonel didn't believe women belonged past a desk job, that he'd blocked 2 promotions before hers, quietly, using words like insufficient field exposure and needs more seasoning. She had heard the words. She had swallowed them. But she had not once, stopped preparing. Richardson didn't look at her the way he looked at the young men lined against the bookshelves behind him, the ones standing at parade rest, eyes forward, pretending not to listen. He looked at her like an inconvenience, like a signature he didn't want to give. "You want this promotion," he said, voice low and cutting. "You'll need to show me you've earned it, not talked your way into it." He hadn't even opened her folder all the way. He'd flipped 2 pages, seen a photo from a training exercise, and shut it like a door slamming in winter wind. Elena's hands did not shake. That surprised her more than anything, because inside, something old and tired was screaming. She had spent 4 years being underestimated in rooms exactly like this one. She had spent 2 deployments proving herself to men who forgot her name the moment she left the building. She thought she'd learned to let it go. She was wrong. The air in the office felt heavier now, thick with the kind of silence that comes right before something breaks. Sunlight cut through the blinds in pale stripes across the desk, catching dust drifting lazily above the closed folder, the one Richardson had already dismissed. Somewhere outside, boots echoed down the hallway, growing fainter, as if even the building itself didn't want to witness what came next. She reached into her bag and placed a second binder on the desk, sliding it toward him with 2 fingers, deliberate and unhurried. "Then look at this one," she said. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. He opened it expecting nothing. What he found instead stopped him cold. Photographs of forward operating bases, handwritten mission logs, worn soft at the corners from being carried too many places. 2 service medals resting in a velvet groove, their ribbons faded from sun and sand. A tally, typed cleanly at the top of the page, 47 missions completed, 19 enemy contacts, 23 personnel saved, 5 medals awarded, 7 commendations recommended, and never followed up on, because no one above her had bothered. The room seemed to lean in. The soldiers behind her, the ones who'd been standing at careful attention, shifted their weight, glancing at each other. A young private near the flag stopped breathing for a moment, watching the colonel's face change in real time, the way a man's certainty crumbles when the evidence refuses to be ignored. Richardson's jaw tightened. He turned a page, then another, his eyes moving faster now, searching for the mistake, the exaggeration, the gap he was sure would be there. He found none. Every claim was documented. Every medal, verified. Every mission, cross-referenced with dates and unit numbers that matched records he himself had signed off on months earlier without connecting the name to the face standing in front of him. Here was the moral weight of it, the question hanging in the dusty light. How many others had walked into this office and been dismissed before their file was even opened? How many medals sat in drawers because no one thought to ask? Elena wasn't just fighting for her own promotion anymore. She was standing for every name that got flipped past, every photo mistaken for decoration instead of proof. Nobody in that room spoke. Even the ticking clock on the wall seemed to hold its breath. Then Richardson closed the second file, slowly, the way a man closes something he's ashamed he needed to see. He looked up at her, really looked, for the first time since she'd walked in. "Why didn't you lead with this?" he asked, quieter now. "Because I shouldn't have had to," Elena answered. The silence that followed wasn't tense anymore. It was something closer to respect, settling over the room like dust finally landing. One of the young soldiers by the bookshelf let out a breath he'd been holding. Somewhere behind Richardson's eyes, something shifted, not defeat, but recognition, the kind that comes too late but still matters. He picked up his pen. He signed the paperwork without another word. Because respect doesn't ask permission to exist, it simply waits in silence until someone dares to open the file. She had walked into that office as a name on a page someone almost didn't bother to read. She walked out as the proof that some records speak louder than any voice raised against them. If this story moved you, tell me in the comments what it means to you to be seen for what you've actually done, not what people assume about you. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, subscribe, because there are more waiting, and every one of them starts with someone brave enough to open the file.